The scent of jasmine and betrayal filled the marble bathroom. Elena Rosewood should have seen it coming. The daughter of one of New York's most powerful families, groomed for 23 years to be the perfect pawn in her father's empire, she'd learned to read the subtle signs of deception in boardrooms and ballrooms alike, but she'd never expected it in her own sanctuary. 2 weeks. 2 weeks until her wedding to Vincent Blackthorne, heir to a political dynasty that would merge their family's influence into something unstoppable. 2 weeks until her freedom became a signature on marriage papers she'd never wanted to see. The warm bathwater should have soothed her, but tension coiled in her shoulders like a snake preparing to strike. Outside her private wing of the Rosewood estate, the October night pressed against towering windows, stars hidden behind storm clouds that mirrored the tempest in her chest. Then she heard it, a sound that didn't belong, heavy, deliberate, the kind of footstep that knew exactly where it was going. Elena's eyes snapped open, her heart stuttering as the bathroom door swung wide. The man who filled the doorway stole her breath, and not from fear alone. Tall, broad-shouldered, with the kind of presence that commanded rooms without trying. Dark hair fell across his forehead, partially concealing a fresh cut that traced his temple like war paint. But it was his eyes that held her captive, steel gray, sharp as winter frost, and utterly, dangerously alive. Blood stained his white shirt. Expensive fabric, she noted absurdly, even as her mind screamed danger. Don't! His voice cut through her rising scream before it could form, one gloved hand covering her mouth as he moved with predatory grace. I'm not here to hurt you. Elena's pulse hammered against his palm. She should have been terrified, should have fought. Instead, something electric sparked between them, recognition without introduction, danger wrapped in dark magnetism. Sorry, Princess, he murmured against her ear, his breath sending unexpected heat down her spine. But you're coming with me. Before she could process his words, his mouth claimed hers in a kiss that tasted of desperation and promises. Her mind spun, fingers clutching the porcelain edge of the tub as her world tilted on its axis. When he pulled back, his eyes held secrets that made her stomach flutter with more than fear. "Who are you?" she whispered, her voice shakier than she'd like. His smile was sharp as broken glass. "Someone who's going to save your life, whether you want me to or not." "From what?" "From them." He gestured toward her door, where voices now echoed in the hallway, harsh, urgent, closing in. "Your perfect fiancé isn't as perfect as you think. Elena and your family?" His laugh held no humor. "They sold you out. Adrian Kane, though that wasn't the name whispered in back alleys and boardrooms alike, watched Elena Rosewood process his words with the analytical mind he'd expected from a woman raised in her world. Good. She'd need that intelligence to survive what was coming. Get dressed. Now. He turned away, giving her privacy while checking the sleek pistol concealed beneath his jacket. The weapon was insurance, nothing more. He'd built his empire on precision, not violence, though he wasn't above using both when necessary, and this was definitely necessary. "Search every room," a voice barked from the hallway. "Kane's here somewhere." Elena's sharp intake of breath told him she'd heard. When he glanced back, she was pulling a silk robe around herself with trembling hands, but her chin was raised. In defiance. Royal posture, even in crisis. It would serve her well in his world. "There's a passage behind the wardrobe," he said quietly, pressing a hidden switch that revealed a narrow doorway. "Stay close to me, and whatever happens, don't make a sound." She hesitated for a heartbeat, studying his face as if trying to read his intentions. Then she nodded, slipping her hand into his with surprising trust. The hidden corridor was dusty, unused, clearly a relic from the estate's original construction. Adrian had studied the blueprints for weeks, mapping every entrance and exit, every weakness in the Rosewood fortress. He'd planned to use this information to destroy them. He hadn't planned on wanting to protect one of them. They emerged into a forgotten study, moonlight filtering through grimy windows. Elena's breathing was controlled but rapid, her fingers still linked with his as she tried to make sense of her new reality. "They're after you," she said, more statement than question. "But why drag me into it?" Adrian checked the window, scanning the garden below for movement. His men would be in position, but Vincent Blackthorne's people were professionals too. This extraction was becoming more complicated by the minute. "Because you're leverage," he said simply. "And because your fiancé doesn't like sharing his toys." Fire flashed in her dark eyes. "I'm not anyone's toy." "No," he agreed, turning to face her fully. "You're not. But they think you are. Your family traded your freedom for protection. Elena, your marriage was never about love or alliance. It's about containing a threat." "What threat?" "Me." Elena's world fractured completely as Adrian explained in clipped, efficient sentences. Her family's clean fortune built on dirty money. Vincent's political connections hiding criminal enterprises. The web of corruption that had ensnared them all, with her as the unwitting center. "You're lying." But even as she said it, pieces clicked into place. Her father's late-night meetings, Vincent's cold perfection, the way conversations stopped when she entered rooms. "Your wedding isn't scheduled for 2 weeks," Adrian continued relentlessly. "It's tomorrow. They moved it up when they learned I was closing in." The floor seemed to drop away beneath her feet. "Tomorrow?" "A private ceremony. Just family. By the time the sun sets, you'll be Mrs. Vincent Blackthorne, legally bound to a man who sees you as property. And I'll be dead." Through the study windows, Elena could see flashlight beams sweeping the garden like hunting searchlights. Whatever game was being played around her, the stakes were life and death. "What do you want from me?" she asked quietly. Adrian's expression softened almost imperceptibly. "I want you to choose, stay, and become a beautiful ornament in a corrupted world, or come with me and discover what you're actually capable of." Before she could answer, the crack of splintering wood echoed from somewhere in the house. They were out of time. Adrian opened the window, cool October air rushing in. 3 stories down, Elena could see a sleek black car waiting in the shadows, engine running. "Trust me," he said, holding out his hand. Elena looked at his extended palm, scarred, strong, dangerous. Then at the door where her old life waited, with all its gilded chains. She took his hand. The jump was a blur of wind and adrenaline, Adrian's arms crushing her against his chest as they hit the ground hard, rolling across manicured grass toward the waiting car. Elena's lungs burned, her bare feet stinging from the cold earth, but she felt more alive than she had in years. They slid into the back seat, just as shouts erupted from the estate behind them. The driver, a woman with silver-streaked hair and predator's eyes, gunned the engine without waiting for orders. "Status!" Adrian barked, his hand still protectively curved around Elena's shoulders. "Blackthorne's people are mobilizing," the driver replied, taking a corner at dangerous speed. "They'll have the city locked down within the hour." Elena pressed herself deeper into the leather seat, reality crashing over her in waves. She'd just jumped out of a window with a criminal, left her family, her life, everything she'd ever known, based on the word of a man whose real name she didn't even know. "I must be insane," she whispered. Adrian's thumb brushed across her knuckles, sending unexpected warmth up her arm. "Sanity is overrated, princess. So is safety." "Stop calling me that." "Why? That's what you are. A princess in an ivory tower who never realized the tower was a prison." His gray eyes caught the streetlights as they passed. "Until tonight, Elena." Wanted to argue, but the words died in her throat. Because he was right. She'd spent 23 years playing the perfect daughter, the perfect student, the perfect bride-to-be. She'd never chosen anything for herself. Tonight, she'd chosen him. "Where are we going?" she asked instead. "Somewhere they'll never think. To look." Adrian's smile was all sharp edges and dangerous promises. "My world, Elena. The question is, are you ready to see what's behind the curtain?" The car plunged deeper into the city's heart, leaving the manicured lawns and marble facades of her old life behind. Ahead lay shadows and uncertainty, danger and possibility. And beside her sat a man who'd torn down her walls with a single kiss, challenging her to discover who she really was beneath all that careful conditioning. Elena Rosewood was dead. Whoever she became next would be her own creation. The real game was just beginning.